you think that men should be allowed to share showers with women in athletic facilities?
I think that showering is a private activity and that it should be private.
And it should be private. There's oftentimes communal showers. Are you okay with men showering with women?
I don't have an opinion on that in the context of USA.
You don't? So. Interesting. That's an astounding thing to not have an opinion on. I think most normal people have an opinion on that. Are you okay with women being at a disadvantage when competing against men in sports?
Sir, mixed events happen all the time, and
no,
women are.
That's not my question. Are you okay with? Let me ask it this way: are you okay with cis females being at a disadvantage?
I don't think this is something Congress should be talking about. I don't think this is something anybody should be talking about because I don't think this should be considered a problem or something that is controversial in our world. Biological men and women's sports should never be a thing. You can believe whatever you want about yourself. We don't have to subscribe to it. We don't have to accept it, but we have to accept that you want to do it, but we don't have to accept it as reality. Like you have decided to warp yourself into believing. But it's insane that this is something that we're doing in Congress. They're talking about men and women's sports. Biological men should not be there. And there's this man who's talking to Brandon Gill, and Brandon Gill has all the receipts exposing his insanity when it comes to this whole argument on whether or not biological men should be in their spaces, biological men should be in the sports. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to RTM News because it ensures to YouTube that you're enjoying these videos, and in turn, they'll continually show up in your feed and they'll push it out to more people. I'm Titus. Let's get into this video.
Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This is an excellent hearing, and we really appreciate your leadership, incredible leadership on this topic and on this community, on this issue. And I'd also like to thank our witnesses, Ms. Turner and Ms. McNabb, for particularly moving testimonies. And thank you for your bravery for coming here. I know it takes a lot of guts to testify before a congressional committee. Mr. Layfield, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Do you think that men should be allowed in women's locker rooms?
Sir, those regulations are set by Tordman
I'm just asking you yes or no. Do you think men should be allowed in women's locker rooms?
I don't have a personal opinion on that.
You don't have a personal.
Why would you not have a personal opinion on that? You want grown men? You want some grown men in the locker room with your wives, with your mother, with your daughters? You think that's okay and appropriate for girls to be taking off their clothes, changing into other clothes? Or you think it's appropriate for women to have, their private spaces where they can change into whatever sort of fit they're going to, whether or not they're in school and they're changing into their gear for sports, or whether or not they're at the gym and they, like, whatever, it's a private space. You think it's okay that a biological man can just waltz in there while they're half dressed or not dressed at all? You think that's okay? You don't have a preference? You don't have a thought on that yourself, sir? I don't believe you.
You have a personal opinion on a lot of things, but not on that?
Sure. I mean, it's a locker room is not really an area where people interact.
So the answer is yes.
I don't
Do you
really
think that men should be allowed to share showers with women in athletic facilities?
I think that showering is a private activity and that it should be private.
And it should be private. There's oftentimes communal showers. Are you okay with men showering with women?
I don't have an opinion on that in the context of USA.
You don't? So. Interesting. That's an astounding thing to not have an opinion on. I think most normal people have an opinion on that. Are you okay with women being at a disadvantage when competing against men in sports?
Sir, mixed events happen all the time, and women are
that's not my question. Are you okay with, let me ask it this way, are you okay with cis females being at a disadvantage?
If their competitor, assuming that you're talking about,
it's a yes or no question,
female, that they've met the requirements set forth in the policy.
Why did you post on social media for the world to see? You were asked in an anonymous question, which you posted online. Are you okay with cis females being at a disadvantage? You said yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Congressman Cloud that had asked me about that, sir, and I'm happy to address it again. That was a one-word answer to a more nuanced topic, and I feel like if I could take it back and expound a little bit more than what I had there.
No, because you guys like to word salad your way into and out of everything. That's what you meant. It's not a nuance. There's no nuance needed to that. Do you think because they are at a disadvantage, if cis women, aka women, are playing sports with biological men, don't care what policy is in place, I don't care what requirements are necessary in terms of how much they pump into their body to make themselves less masculine or manly, whatever, they're still at a disadvantage biological woman because of bone density. Because like men are just, it sounds crazy, not superior, but like physically superior in a majority of the time. It's not fair to them. And that's why when you were asked that question, you don't, if you care if they're at a disadvantage, you said, yeah, or you don't care. Because you don't. Don't try and switch up now. It's ridiculous. There's no nuance needed. You think it's cool, you think it's fine, and you hide behind policy regulations that all this stuff that is newly put in place, because prior to what, 10 years ago, or if not even lesser time, that was never allowed for a biological man to just be in a woman's sport and vice versa.
My time.
Sure.
Do you think that do you think that parents who don't want their daughters competing against men in women's sports are whiny?
No, sir.
You don't? Why did you write that on social media? I've got a picture here where you posted that. You were allegedly responding to a parent who didn't want their daughter being beaten up by men in sports competitions. You said, I'm not going to pull her from the sport and write a whiny email announcing my departure.
Sir, Mr. Congressman Jack had asked me about that, and want to be crystal clear, that was an inappropriate message.
Do you think that they're cowardly?
Sir, no, I don't. I don't at all. And in fact...
You do, in fact. In fact, you do. You think they're whiny, you think they're cowardly. But I don't, why though? Is what I'm trying to figure out. Why? It's the insane position here is to think that it is okay for a man to play with women. That is the insane belief. The unfair. Why? I want to know why. And now he's backtracking because all these receipts are being displayed in front of Congress. Now you look silly because you're saying some unhinged, crazy things. But why? I don't get it. This is not okay by any means. It's not fair to people that like wanted to like imagine all your records getting broken by biological men who decided that they want to be like, I could right now at my grown age get in a really good shape, identify as a woman and dominate. I'm 6'3", 250 pounds. That would not be fair. Just saying.
Why did you write that on social media?
I regret it, sir. I deleted it shortly after posting it. I certainly don't feel that way anymore. And given a lot of the messages that we receive and even conversations that I've had,
do you think
with
that
Ms.
parents
Turner,
who don't want their daughters competing against men in sports should be compared to the Ku Klux Klan?
No, absolutely not. And
why
acknowledge
did you
that I
do
said
that?
that in the message, sir.
Why did
that
you
was
do that?
inappropriate.
That was inappropriate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're right. That is inappropriate. I'd like to read what you wrote and what you posted on social media.
Sure.
Responding allegedly to a lady who had these concerns. The only wizard that's going to dig you out of the myopic hole you've put yourself and your family in is one of the, quote, grand wizard variety.
Inappropriate, sir. And I acknowledge that I said it, and I will commit to never making a message like that again.
That was in response to a parent, according to you on social media, who had a problem with this. Was this a real email that you were responding to?
It was a real email, sir. I did not respond to it and hit send.
This was a real email. Did an actual parent write this, or did you write this email?
It was written by an actual person claiming to be a parent. They were not a member of our...
Were you that actual person?
No, sir.
You were not that actual person, but you staged this whole interaction.
The response, sir, was not real, and I regret that.
Okay. You think inclusivity presumably is a big part of the fencing community, is that right?
I would say so, sir. We're a very welcoming community, and I'm proud of
Are
that.
you welcoming to Trump supporters?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Then why did you, in your Facebook page,
This man has come up with so many receipts. So why did you do this? Oh man, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. But also, this is why you shouldn't just say whatever you want online, especially if you don't mean it. The digital footprint is there forever. Now, obviously, there's just things that you're going to do and say probably online, navigating the whole world of social media and just young adulthood. And well, he's not young adult, but just whatever. Like where you say things, you're like, oh shoot, well that's there, that sucks. You know, maybe I don't fully believe this thing, maybe whatever. But like unhinged things like that, you cannot take back. Why are we not paying attention to what we're seeing online?
page, from the fencing coach, right? Imagine being one of 71 million people dumb enough to vote re-election for a treasonous clown who's permanently banned from Twitter for inciting an insurrection. You mad MAGA bros.
I acknowledge that I stated that in my personal capacity, sir. However, as chair, I have
That
to
was
acknowledge
from the
sir,
fencing coach.
I have to acknowledge that 77 million people voted for him in re-election.
That wasn't your personal capacity. That was from your capacity as, quote, the fencing coach online.
Yes,
Like,
that
as you-
that is my blog, sir. That's my publication, and I acknowledge writing that.
All right, my time is up. Thank you. I yield back.
Wow. Okay, thank you for that.
Secondhand embarrassment I had watching that video where this man had to sit there and rehash everything that he ever said that was unhinged and crazy, contradicting the statements he's making at the current time to Congress. It's just, it's embarrassing. And like, we just gotta do better, man. Like, have your beliefs, have your convictions and promote them in a way that you think is right. And hopefully conducive to an actual fruitful conversation where people can see both sides and maybe change for the better. But this on the hinge, just saying the craziest thing ever on both sides. It's just annoying and not helpful. And we got to be honest. It's not fair. Like, why are we having this should not be a Congress conversation. This should not be a Congress conversation. Why are we even talking about biological men and women sports? That should have never been something that was okayed or thought to have been okay. And it's wild. But anyways, this guy got humbled by Brandon Gill, and it was entertaining to watch, even though it's crazy that we're here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment any thoughts below. I want to know what you guys are thinking on this, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.